If we could do roll call, well, we're going to begin today's July 16th, 2019 Board of County Commissioners Public Hearing. If we could have roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Dorisio.
I'm present.
Commissioner Pinter.
Here.
Commissioner Hodge.
Here.
Commissioner Henry.
Here.
Commissioner Tedesco.
Okay, if everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as provided in the. And that passes 4-0. Moving on, no awards and presentations I'm aware of, so going down to public comment. Erica, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
We do have 3 people signed up. It seems they're all the applicants for today's land use cases.
Okay, so at this time, we allow the public to speak. And so the folks that have signed up to speak, we're going to ask, are you going to speak on a case that will happen later in today's meeting, or is it some other topic not relating to a land use hearing? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak about a topic not related to the land use hearings later today? I see no rush of people running down to the podium. We're going to move on. And we will have a chance to allow you to speak when those land use hearings commence a little bit later on. At this time, we allow the commissioners to speak. Are there any commissioners that have any statements or updates? No? Okay. We're going to move on. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Consent calendar is approved. 4-0. Moving on, county business, county manager.
Good morning, Commissioners. The first item before you is a resolution approving notice of renewal with Core Civic, Inc. for Community Correction Program Services. And our Director, Beth Torgerson, will be here to present this item, or Administrator, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Beth Torgerson, Community Corrections Administrator, Community Safety and Wellbeing. The Community Corrections Board requests your approval for the amendment to the subcontract between Adams County and Core Civic Incorporated for the provision of community correction services for 17th Judicial District, which includes Adams and Broomfield County. Staff is not recommending any changes to the subcontract for the provision of services. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff on this matter? Okay. Coming back to the board for motion then.
Chair, I move for agenda item 19-588, resolution approving notices of renewal with Core Civic, Inc. for Community Correction Program Services.
We have a motion and a second. And that motion passes 4-0.
The next item before you is a resolution approving Amendment 3 to the agreement between Adams County and Core Civic, Inc. for the Adams County Opportunity Center lease. And Beth will present this item as well.
Thank you. The Community Corrections Board requests your approval to renew the lease agreement between Adams County and Core Civic Incorporated for the Adams County Opportunity Center located at 8031 I-76 Service Road in Henderson. Staff is recommending a 3% lease rate increase as outlined in the current lease. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board for staff? Seeing none, we're going to entertain a motion now.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 19-589, a resolution approving Amendment 3 to the agreement between Adams County and Core Civic, Inc. for the Adams County Opportunity Center lease.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. That item also passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And good
Have a
luck with
day.
everything. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any business from the county attorney?
Good morning, Commissioners. I actually do have an item that is not on your agenda. I would ask that we go into executive session very briefly at the beginning of our oil and gas regulation study session to receive legal advice. So that would be pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402-4B.
Okay, do we have a motion to go into executive session for oil and gas?
So moved.
We have a motion? We have a motion and a second.
Second.
That motion passes 4-0. At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute recess and convene in 5 minutes for the land use hearing. right, we're going to reconvene the public hearing, and we're going to go into the land use portion of the public hearing. And it's all yours.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Greg Barnes with the Adams County Community and Economic Development Department. And the first of 3 land use cases before you today is American Tower Brighton. It's located at 10220 Brighton Road. And this is a request that's been submitted by American Tower to renew a conditional use permit to allow an existing communications tower to remain in the Industrial 2 Zone District. The tower, as I mentioned, it's existing. It's 89 feet in height. It was originally approved in 1993, renewed again in 2001, and renewed a second time in 2008, and given a 10-year approval. So this would renew it for an additional 10 years if approved. An aerial photo just to show you where this site is located. So the site is shown here in the center of the screen, and it actually has access off of this road, which is Brighton Road. The site backs up, the rear property line backs up to US Highway 85, and the southbound lane for US Highway 85 merges into I-76 here. So as you're driving down this road, really your eyes are trained more toward the merging highways than the property on the right. So this functions more as a rear property line. The site is shown here, a closer view. So as I mentioned, access is off of Brighton Road. The tower location is at the rear of the property abutting US Highway 85 in this portion of the property. The site's used, it has an industrial user. There's 2 structures on the property. Outdoor storage is here. Vehicle storage is on the eastern side of the lot. The property is zoned Industrial 2, and it's surrounded by other industrial zone districts. To the north, you can find Agricultural 1 zoning. The county's comprehensive plan has designated a future land use of commercial in this area, and that identifies that the county would like to see the area used for shopping, restaurants in the future. The criteria for evaluating a conditional use permit includes whether the use is appropriate for the zone district, if the request is consistent with the purpose of our development standards, as well as complying with specific performance standards for the use, if the request is harmonious and compatible to the area, if all off-site impacts have been addressed, if the site itself is suitable for the use, the site plan has adequate space for the use, and if services are available to support the use. So this is a view of the tower itself. It's 89 feet in height, and in the I-2 zone district, the maximum height is actually 75 feet. But with telecommunications towers, our development standards does allow for the board to approve waivers from the maximum height for the zone district. And so that accompanies this conditional use permit application. The applicant's site plan is shown here, and as you can see, the structures are here on the western side of the property. The tower is here. Setbacks are 1 foot per 1 foot of height. As I mentioned, the tower height is 89 feet. And so the setback that currently exists on the property is 79 feet there along the northern property line. And much like the height waiver, setback waivers can be approved by the board as well. And so that also accompanies this application. The applicant did provide coverage maps to show that the tower is needed. A few images just to show you what the site looks like. So this is the entrance into the site on Brighton Road. And this is sort of looking down their access driveway. You can see the tower location off into the distance. This picture was taken right at the entrance of Brighton Road. So you can see it's pretty far back from that roadway. A closer view within the parking area shows the tower here. This is used for vehicle storage for the industrial user. It's surrounded by an existing chain link fence, which is in good condition. And as you can see off in the distance, there's US Highway 85. And so a lot of the vehicles stored in this area block the base from views of the highway. During the referral period, we didn't receive any comments. We notified 24 property owners and occupants within 1,000 feet of the site. We did hear from CDOT, Commerce City, Tri-County Health, and Xcel Energy. They had no objections. Commerce City did recommend a 5-year approval. So in summary, staff believes that this is consistent with the purpose of our standards. The need for the tower has been demonstrated. The area is surrounded by storage of vehicles and outdoor storage. There's overhead power lines in the area that actually exceed the tower height, and the area is largely industrial. The Planning Commission heard this case on June 27th. The applicant requested a longer approval period than 5 years, and the Planning Commission did grant a 10-year recommendation of approval. Staff did follow up with Commerce City after the Planning Commission hearing, and Commerce City identified that there are no active applications for commercial in the area, and they had no opposition to an approval of 10 years. And so the Planning Commission recommended approval of this conditional use permit with 8 findings of fact, 4 conditions, and 1 note. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for staff? No. At this time, is there anyone would the applicant like to come forward? If you would, please state your full name and your address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mike Charlo, 302 Alati Street, Denver, Colorado, 80223, here on behalf of American Tower. Staff did a fantastic job with their presentation. I would only like to add that this site has been there since 1993. It is a very important part of 2 wireless carriers' networks. It is also available for future co-locators to add antennas on it. This provides a lot of coverage in the area of US 85 and I-76. And yeah, that's about all there is to it. I'd just like to ask for your approval and make myself available for any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Thank you very much. If you
Thank
could
you.
have a seat up front in case there is a question that pops up. Is there anyone in the public signed up to speak on this particular matter?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience that did not sign up but would still like to speak on this particular matter? I don't see anyone, so come back to the board for discussion and motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve conditional use permit with 8 findings of fact, 4 conditions, and 1 note for RCU 2018-00034, American Tower, Brighton.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. The motion passes 4-0. Congratulations. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Okay, next up.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners. This morning, I'm presenting a case called Brancuccia Minor Subdivision. The request is for a minor subdivision, a final plat to create 2 lots. And the site itself is located over at the intersection of 70th and Broadway Street in this particular location. It's bordered by I-25. So the zone district that the request is located within is in an I-1 zone. It allows commercial and light industrial types of businesses within that particular zone district. The applicant's request is to subdivide into 2 lots because there is an existing legally non-conforming home on one of the lots, and there's an opportunity to create more of a light industrial or commercial use on the secondary lot. The future land use category for this particular location is commercial. So the creation of 2 lots does meet future land use demand for this type of use. A little bit of the criteria for a minor subdivision is that the minor subdivision conforms with subdivision design standards, that there's an adequate water supply, that there's adequate sewer coverage, that they've identified any soil or topographical conditions that there's adequate drainage infrastructure, public infrastructure, and that everything is consistent with the comprehensive plan and other types of development standards, and that it's compatible with the surrounding area. So this is the applicant's minor subdivision plat. As you can see, the Lot 1 is proposed to contain that existing legally non-conforming residential lot until something changes otherwise. And then the Lot 2 creates a new lot of 1.7 acres to allow for commercial or light industrial types of uses within that lot. The lot width is conforming. It can be no less than 30 feet for a wedge-shaped lot. And the lot is compromised a little bit by the I-25 right-of-way and the ability to have an access point for this individual lot. So there is a shared access point for these two lots that's established, as you can see in my label. And just stating that singular access point due to the 25.
Can you point to that?
Oh,
The access point
sure.
again?
So they share half of the access with the adjacent neighbor, and there is an access easement that is on record on the plat that is carried over with this new plat.
Okay.
Okay.
Top left-hand corner.
Right up here,
All right, thank you.
yes. So this is a view of the access point from West 70th Avenue. And then this is a view of the proposed new lot, or a portion of the proposed new lot from East 70th, and kind of, you can see the 25 corridor and the exit. And then this is a view to the north. There are some light industrial buildings that kind of do more warehouse office space up to the north. And then this is the existing residence, the ranch-style home with the RV in front of it. That would be the creation of that existing Lot 1 that would contain that legally non-conforming use. My apologies, this mouse may have seen better days. And then this is a photo of the proposed Lot 2. Currently, it is chain linked off. I'll state for the record that we do have a condition or a note that we want added into this particular condition or this particular approval. So the application was referred out to 44 property owners and occupants within a 750-foot coverage. We did not receive any form of comment about this. We received no concerns from the Treasurer's Office, from the Colorado Geological Society, and CDOT and Excel. There were some comments that were discussed in the initial review from engineering to determine whether or not a subdivision improvement agreement was necessary. At the time of the development of either one of these lots, there will be particular improvements that will be necessary, but it does not trigger a subdivision improvement agreement at present. And then right-of-way just wanted some corrected plat revisions, and Tri-County Health wanted to acknowledge that this is located within the flammable gas overlay, and that the applicant will need to perform a form of a study if they're developing and doing things with a structure on the property. At the Planning Commission, this was considered on June 27th. The applicant's representative answered some questions. No members of the public attended or spoke at the hearing. And there were some questions of the applicant as to whether or not they were complying with current code and just the general nature of the site itself. And the applicant clarified a little bit. We also have our code enforcement here, or code compliance here, if you had any questions about that. They did vote for approval of the application on a vote of 7-0. So staff and the Planning Commission's recommendation is that the plat request that is of consideration today complies with the comprehensive plan and the nature of the request, and that it complies with the existing minimum zone district standards, that it's compatible with the surrounding area, and it is serviceable with water, sewer, electric. And so we are recommending approval of this minor subdivision plat with 11 findings of fact and 2 notes. And the first note is our general note that notes that all applicable building, health, zoning, engineering, and fire codes shall be adhered to. And then our second note is just noting that the applicant, upon development of this property and any form of change of use, is going to have to apply for that particular permit within our building division for any future activities on the site, and that will trigger improvements on the property and design standards. And that ends my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Do we have questions for staff? Commissioner Henry?
Please share with us about the code
The code?
violations. Yeah.
Yes. So this particular area in general has had a variety of code violations on it, just because of the nature of storage and excessive vehicles. So code compliance has been out there quite readily. There is not an existing code violation on this particular property for this plat, but there are with adjacent neighbors at present.
Commissioner Pinter?
With adjacent neighbors under different ownership, or with adjacent neighbors under the same ownership?
Adjacent neighbors under different ownership.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a question. You're saying that because part of the concern I have always is aesthetics and landscape, and we're saying that, if I understand this correctly, there won't be any requirement to clean up some of those, but can you go to the pictures of the barriers and
Sure.
such?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Christy Fitch with the County Attorney's Office. So as far as the current code violations on this property, I just spoke to Officer Gress, who's also in the room. The property does have current code violations that will be cited after so one of the main issues is that they're using this property as a residential use and also an industrial use. So hence the reason for the needing of the subdivision to keep that legal non-conforming residential use on the property. One of the issues relates to screen fencing, landscaping, and that will all be addressed in the changing use permit that they will need to apply for after this.
Okay, so that answers the question about, so we will see it get cleaned up along the 224 front, right?
Yes.
In that process, but not this process?
Correct.
Okay, I think that makes sense. And so the overall, what we're trying to do here is allow the people who live in that home to stay in the home and allow the business that's operating on the industrial portion to continue operating, correct?
Correct.
And we're not changing the industrial zoning of the residential property. We're keeping it long-term industrial, but we're allowing the non-conforming use to stay there as long as the people want to live there.
Correct. If they do any significant modifications to their property, then it takes them into an I-1 zone district. But at the moment, they can reside as a residential use on the property.
Got it. And then, once again, we will see an improvement. It sounds like a win-win. We're allowing the folks to stay there, allowing the business to continue, and we will see public improvement along the road to make it look better.
Correct.
Sounds good to me. Any other questions for staff? Okay, could the applicant please come forward? Hi, if you could state your
Hi.
full name and your address for the record.
Yes, I am Lisa Gard. I'm a planning consultant representing the property owner. My address is 4243 San Marco Drive in Longmont, Colorado, 80503. I really don't have any more to add, except that just a quick brief history that in 2016, there was a combination of a couple lots that created the code issue because the residence was the residential lot was combined with the industrial lot next door, unintentionally causing the issue of it changing to a residential lot for the entire parcel. So they've had to go forward to split out the residential piece. So that was really the purpose of continuing, like you've already concluded, continuing to allow the folks to reside in the house and continue the industrial use that they had to pull away from, except for the area that's conditional use in the south of the property.
Got it. Any questions for the applicant? No? So this also allows the properties to be sold separately as well, correct?
Well, yes, it would, legally, they could do that. There's no plans for that or for any development at this time, just to continue with the historic uses.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Thank you very much. If you could please have a seat up front in case we have other additional follow-up questions. Is there anyone from the audience or the public that was signed up or wishes to speak on this matter? No one signed up. Nobody's coming down. We're going to bring it back to the board for discussion and/or motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve PLT 2018-00028, Broncusia Minor Subdivision.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And that motion passes 4-0. Congratulations, good luck with your project. Thank you, staff. We have a next case up.
Good morning again. This secondary case is the Meadows Home Development, or the Box Elder Creek Ranch. It is a request for a rezone and a PUD amendment. So the applicant is requesting a planned unit development amendment to remove 88 acres out of the existing Box Elder Ranch planned unit development. And they are requesting to rezone this particular 88 acres to A3 zoning. And I'll demonstrate this with some visuals so that it makes a little more sense as to why the request is occurring. So the Box Elder Creek Ranch was created back in 2000, and they proposed 324 lots on 519 acres. So basically an acre per lot, along with a significant amount of open space. There were 3 plats that were created over a period of about 4 years, and the final potential plat is the 88 acres in question that's before you. So this aerial map is kind of demonstrating the site location with the 88 acres. There is and this is the existing Box Elder Creek over here. The zoning is all PUD at the moment on the site, but it is surrounded by A3 zone districts. There is, in the future land use, this is proposed as a state residential, which is large lots that support a decent amount of acreage. There is a conservation easement that is correlating, that is part of the Box Elder Creek Ranch open space PUD requirements that is wedged in between this and the site in question. And the surrounding area is identified as agricultural in our future land use plan. So just to go over final development plan amendments, a planned unit development is a customized zone district, and it allows greater flexibility with the developer in the terms of the design of the development and alignment with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. When you are going through a major amendment like this, the same process must happen at the time of the request. So that is why it is here before you, is the removal is a significant amount of PUD amendment or significant amount of change for the existing PUD. And so that is why this request is before you. So the proposed FDP amendment is removing two land use parcels, and they have recorded these two land use parcels. They're over 35 acres each, and they are these two identified areas, excluding the ditch. There's a Henry Lynn ditch that snakes along the area. The rezoning the rezoning before you is requested primarily because the applicant does conduct A3 uses on the current property. It is agricultural. It's currently being farmed, but they want to create two parcels and create in perpetuity agricultural uses that may support a single-family home on it, but they wish to continue farming, using it as an agrarian sort of purpose in line with the comprehensive plan. And all A3 regulations and standards would apply. There's minimum lot size or minimum parcel sizes. And the applicant has actually gone over things with the Parks and Open Space Department because of that conservation easement that's due to the west of them. So this is the proposed rezone, just as a visual. So the existing PUD is the large red area, and then the conservation easement kind of breaks up this area from the proposed A3 zone district that they are breaking away from the PUD with. So this is a view looking west along 168th Avenue and Watkins Mile Road. And then this is a view looking east along 168th Avenue, very agrarian, surrounded by farms. And then this is a view looking north along the road. And as you can see, this is the property in question. And then this is a view looking south along Watkins Road. So the referral, we sent out 291 notifications to property owners and residents within 3/4 of a mile of this location. And a neighborhood meeting was held on November 27th before this particular request began. The neighborhood meeting, along with the one comment that we received, were all supportive. They all support the proposed changes that the applicants are proposing. And there weren't any concerns from any of our referral agencies either about this particular request. So at the Planning Commission, the public hearing was held on June 27th. The applicant's representative answered some questions. No members of the public were there or spoke at the hearing. There was a question of the ditch easement and whether or not it was included as acreage within one of the land use parcels. And we have concluded that it is not. It was deeded separately as to the ditch company, so that acreage, they are in conformance with the acreage requirements for an A3 zone district. And the Planning Commission voted for approval, for the recommendation of approval. So the staff and PC recommendation is that this FDP amendment and the rezone is consistent with the criteria, and that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and that this is identified as agricultural land and not as more high density or estate residential uses. That it's consistent with the purpose and requirements of the Adams County Development Standards and Regulations, and that it's compatible with the surrounding area of farmland, agrarian purposes, and the general character of the neighborhood. So we are recommending approval of the PUD amendment and the rezone with 6 findings of fact and 1 note. And the 1 note is the standard note that the applicant shall adhere to all fire, animal health, zoning, and building codes. And that ends my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Do we have any questions for staff? Seeing none. Would the applicant please come forward?
Good morning. I'm Caroline Cardella, Real Estate in the Rockies, LLC, representing the seller and the buyers. The seller is in Atlanta, has been there for about a year and a half. The buyers are here with me, and that's Kevin and Heather Willard. They are local farmers, and they are farming other areas here, but they intend to build their residence probably on the south parcel. And this new map here is a little different than the ones you may have in your packet. The Henry Lynn Ditch bifurcates the north parcel, and the amount of acreage in that area is about 11 acres, and there is a deed to Henry Lynn Ditch. Actually, there was one in 1925, and then when Meadow Homes Development Corp. Was planning on developing the lots, they arranged with Henry Lynn Ditch to create a new survey as the ditch now lies. It was greatly modified sometime after 1925. Nobody seems to know when. Could have been with a flood, I don't know. We have no idea. So that 11 acres is not a part of the north parcel. The north parcel, I wanted to provide this map. Let's see if I can make this work. There it is. Okay, so you see there's a long tail going north on the orange parcel, the north parcel. And that's the access to get onto this one area of the north parcel. So there's ingress and egress there. Then the access to the other section, to the right of the Henry Lynn Ditch, would be from Watkins Mile Road. If there is any need to have farm animals, the horses or whatever, access one to the other, that would be a separate agreement that Henry Lynn Ditch would have with the buyers for a pedestrian bridge or something of that nature. But right now, there is no immediate plan for that. The residence is likely to be on the yellow parcel, which is the south parcel. And the buyers are already managing other conservation easements in farms that they manage. So they're really pretty comfortable. Having met with Parks and Recreation actually twice, they all seem to talk the same language. And they've started cleanup. They've been doing noxious weeds, maintenance and so forth. They intend to do fencing around it. So that's pretty much the way what their plans are. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much. If you could have a seat up front in case we have other follow-up questions or other matters. At this time, we're opening up for the public. Is there anyone signed up who would like to speak on this matter?
No.
Okay, is there anyone in the public that did not sign up but would like to come forth and speak on this matter? All right, seeing none, we're going to come back to the board for discussion and motion.
Could we have our screen for the motion, please? Chair, I move for PRC 2018-23 Box Elder Meadows PUD amendment and rezone. I move for its approval with 6 findings of fact and 1 note.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And that motion Passes 4-0. Congratulations, good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I don't believe there's anything else on the agenda. And therefore, we shall adjourn.